What?
Recording in progress.
We are back. This is episode 14 of Sports Wave. Today we are also streaming live on YouTube and just YouTube right now. So we're back. It's been a little while. There's a few things we'll be talking about, just in regards to the tourney and how's your bracket doing type thing. We'll start there. So March Madness is here. This is kind of like they didn't have the tournament last year, so like it's definitely. I feel like this tournament has been the most unpredictable one I've seen like in a while. I mean, it's usually pretty unpredictable in nature because I don't watch a lot of college basketball, but there's some interesting things going on. A couple of upsets, but there's a couple of favorites. I mean, to me, it looks like Baylor and Gonzaga are the two favorites. I mean, what I've taken away from this tournament is two things. Number one, it's anyone's tournament. And number two, there's a huge gulf between the NCAA and the NBA. I don't know. What about y'all?
Well, before we get into the cons of men's basketball, maybe we can focus on the pros, like you mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah. So it seems like a couple of teams that we're interested in my case in particular, Baylor is advancing pretty well in the tournament. Looks like they're doing pretty good. They have a puncher's chance of making it to the final and potentially meeting Gonzaga. I've been pretty entertained, I would say. Maybe it's because we didn't get to have the NCAA tournament last year,
Yeah.
but I've found that this year's tournament has been very enjoyable. I've really enjoyed watching a good portion of the games. I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched all of them,
Yeah.
but I have seen quite a few of them, a lot more than I usually do, and
Definitely.
I've been entertained so far. So that's good. Abden, what do you think?
I mean, I agree. Obviously, like you said, some of the teams that we are interested in, particularly UNT for me and Andy.
Yeah.
The fact that they even made it was pretty incredible. They won pretty much, I think a total of 6 or 7 games between their conference tournament and the actual tourney, and they bounced Purdue, who was the 5 seed.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Crazy.
That was pretty exciting. It was a really entertaining game.
It went to overtime, right?
Yeah, sure did.
And we thought it might be over.
Man, that game was nuts. I mean, just the whole. Just trying to get this off here. I could really tell that they were like pretty fired up. I knew they had a puncher's chance in that first one game, and then obviously playing Villanova in the second round. I mean, I knew it was over. I was just glad I was able to see. I didn't know it. First of all, I didn't know they'd never had a tournament win, and I also didn't know they weren't in the tournament over the last decade. It's like, dang, I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, I think they would have made it last year just because they had a really
Right.
good team last year as well. A lot of those same guys. But, yeah, I mean, they literally made history for the school, and that's what the tournament is all about. And that's one thing that you don't get to see a lot with college football. It's so
Right.
commercialized at this point that they don't give people a chance that are on the bubble or on the fringe.
That's
to
a great point. That's a great point
anybody
because,
like that.
yeah, like anybody can win. It's not necessarily the best team of the year, but it is the team that is most adept at surviving a tournament schedule.
Yep, exactly.
It's definitely. I think it's one of the coolest things college sports has going for it, and I feel like college football does good on its own, but with the implementation of the playoff, I feel like they are trying to create a similar type of vibe, and the one and done aspect of it I like a lot, and it's it's just the thing, it's like it really does take out the importance of the regular season to a certain extent, but I feel like we're all getting to know these teams for the first time. Like me, especially. Like I love basketball, but I just, I would only catch games here and there. I'd know like a few players, but especially this year when the tournament came back, I definitely found a little bit more interest, and the drama has been interesting for sure. But for me, it's the one shift this year is just like the seeds don't mean anything for like it really they don't for the most part, and even though some of the Cinderellas are already kind of bowing out, I guess, but like Houston, I wasn't expecting them to, be a real contender.
True.
Last night watching the Syracuse game, we had one of my brother's friends over who's a Syracuse fan, and I was watching the game and I was intently watching. I was just like, there's just the lack of offensive creativity sometimes. At least in Syracuse's game, I was just like, I have no idea why I'm watching this. We also had the UFC fight on, so I might have been distracted. But it's hard for me to watch sometimes when I'm used to watching the NBA. And I don't know about you guys, but do you feel like there's a bigger gulf between the NFL and the NCAA or the NBA in college basketball? I think there's a bigger gulf in basketball to NBA. College basketball specifically.
Yeah, I would say basketball. I mean, think about it. How many spots are on a team in the pros versus, the NFL? I mean, just numbers wise, it's pretty drastic how many guys, get through versus don't get through to the NBA. Have to go play in Europe or something.
That's what we're seeing, I think.
Well, and the national level, you think about it, like Luka or Jokic, and those guys are not playing in college basketball.
Even LaMelo Ball, I mean, to a certain extent, like
I mean, it's not. It's a little bit more competitive. It's more of a worldwide type of sport. Granted, you have some guys.
That's true.
But it's not in the same way.
That's actually a fantastic point because you're right. It is very much an international sport. Like, it's not like soccer, but I feel like it's up there in terms of it's a sport that a lot of countries are into, and that means there's options for players who are good and don't want to go through some of the ridiculousness of the NCAA maybe, and we all acknowledge that there's a lot of ridiculousness in the NCAA, right? I mean, and I feel like players are getting smarter too. I mean, they can go overseas for a year, and the other thing that's coming, and we've talked about it on previous episodes, is the one and done rule. Like, when that gets reverted, which everyone is talking, that's an eventuality, like meaning a player doesn't have to go to college for 1 year. They can get drafted straight out of high school. I feel like that. What would you think would happen to the college basketball interest? Do you think or the game even, would it get better? Or do you think it'd get worse? Like, because all the players there are like players that are actually like trying to develop themselves and get ready for the NBA or whatever, and then all the players who go straight from high school go to the NBA, and it's like they're just good enough. I mean, do you think that would change anything?
Kind of. I mean, you wouldn't. When you think about it, it's like there are not very many LeBron James.
Right.
There's not very many,
Kobe Bryant's, Kevin Garnett's. There's just not like a lot of them. And the fact that we know the names of the, most prominent ones or the ones that are actually.
Yeah, there just hasn't been that many.
They do that is kind of a testament to how isolating it is. Isolated of an incident it is. It's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of high schoolers do. Like, no matter how good the high schooler is, you got to be like top 1% of 1% in order to like actually make that transition, and both on a basketball level, but also like on a maturity level, because like you're 19 years old. I mean, I know like a lot of kids have their heads on straight, not knocking the youth, but like I know when I was 19, I didn't know what I was doing, and like there was no way I could transition to like a position where I'm playing with guys in their late 20s or 30s who have been doing it for decades, and like I'm getting paid millions of dollars, which like financially, how do you handle having nothing, and then all of a sudden like a switch turns and all of a sudden you have like everything. And like
at that
you're
age.
probably gonna like you don't have like the
Mental fortitude.
financial literacy to like kind of like manage your life really. I mean,
Definitely.
I know like washing my own clothes was a struggle when I was like transitioning just because like I didn't
Me
know
too.
how. Yeah. But
Man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent it will, affect that, but I don't think it'd be so big that people would just abandon. I think sometimes some of these players need that
Yeah.
time to develop and get better.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I know that it's. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just like a lot of players coming out of high school, knowing how good they are. LaMelo Ball being one example. It's like you can make it to the NBA, but what is the better route? Is it sitting on the bench or is it going to a pro league in Australia and just doing pretty good, getting some minutes, but you're getting exposure to the professional lifestyle, or is it going to a school for a year and then dipping out? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of naive for anyone to think that a lot of these players are going to go the full 4 years. That doesn't happen very often, nor would they want it to, because they're wasting their time in terms of like they could get a paycheck if they're good enough.
Yep. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
There's nothing guaranteed in sports.
Yeah, I think this part of the discussion also kind of lends to my answer to your previous question, Andy, about like the gulf between the college football and the NFL, and the gulf between college basketball and the NBA. I would say the opposite of what you guys said, that the gulf between college football and the NFL is bigger, not because like there isn't like some similarities, and it's hard because it's almost like comparing apples and oranges between the two.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there's international players and all that, and there's no international players for football. But
that's true.
It's because like what 19-year-old could, or what person graduating high school could transition into the NFL, whereas like maybe there is a chance that a 18-year-old could transition to the NBA, because like there's the maturity level, but there's also like for a college football player.
Right.
Like a freshman, there's size. Like you're still growing. You're like 18. You're still getting bigger and stronger. And like there's no way you can make that transition. So and college football is littered with that because it is 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds. But so like there's a level of like getting bigger and leveling up, if you will, in college.
Right.
So like, not saying that there isn't like people that are well ready like at a young age to transition to the NFL, like a Trevor Lawrence, but it's much harder, I think, because it's such a physical sport. Yeah,
definitely. So with that being said, are we pretty much waiting for Baylor and the Zags? I mean, looking at my bracket, which this year I honestly didn't even fill out that many brackets because I had no idea what I was doing. Are we anticipating that game? I'm trying to look at the matchups here. So I guess the only way they would meet, I guess, would be in the final? Or would it be in the Final Four?
It would be in the final. Yeah,
it would be in the final. Okay. So obviously that would be the two favorites. I mean, who would derail them? I mean, do you think Houston has a shot? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Houston played well yesterday. They stomped Syracuse, and they've kind of beat everybody else. Well, Rutgers, I think, was kind of close, but that was like the only challenge for them. Watching Baylor,
I think they're gonna smash Arkansas.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Just because the Villanova game was so lopsided in the first
half. It was tight for a half. It was a really tight first half. First half, but then like Baylor turned on, their best element, which is their defense.
Right.
Like they relied on their defense through the first half, but then they transitioned to trying to, attack the paint more in the second, and that was really the key to, defeating.
Yeah,
but it's not to say that they can do the same to Arkansas, even though they are different teams. But go ahead.
They barely. I felt like they barely got past freaking Oral. I mean, 15 seed. I feel like it should be a good game. I mean, I think Arkansas locked down when they needed to, and they won the game. But for me, it's like, okay, Baylor is designed for this, and I feel like they are gonna put a whooping on them. But we'll see. I'm hoping.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah.
I don't think so. But
Fair
I mean,
enough.
you're I think you're a little discounting Oral Roberts. I mean, I'm not gonna say that they're like the best team in the world, but they did beat Ohio State.
They did beat Florida. They
beat
by,
Florida.
Yeah,
they almost beat Arkansas. If
Yeah.
you remember that last.
Which would kind of like at first you would think if like they just beat Oral Roberts that you would think it would be like discounting Arkansas, but it's actually the latter. It's not. It's the opposite. I mean, because it's like Oral Roberts clearly proved themselves to be a very competitive and competent team.
They know how to win close games. I mean, for sure.
And they were able to beat them on the last shot, so that was crazy.
Yeah, both of their games they won by 3 points. Won in overtime. But yeah, hey, that'll be good. And also, a lot of people talked about this last night or the other night, whenever we knew this matchup was coming, was basically reliving the Southwest Conference.
And then Oregon State is not, they're playing Houston, so it's either going to be Baylor is most likely going to play Oregon State or Houston. Oregon State did beat Oklahoma State, who Baylor lost to, right? In the Big 12.
Yep. In the tournament. Big 12 tournament, that is.
It just seems like, Baylor is definitely the superior team, absolutely. But they have a lot of weaknesses, and if they can be exploited, then I think that they can lose.
Yeah, and teams have shown, like, Abden alluded to that Oklahoma State or like Kansas. Like, there are ways to attack this team, whereas a Gonzaga who hasn't lost at all and hasn't really had a lot of close games that, this season, kind of seems like it's almost fait accompli with them. It's just about. I mean, I will say I'm not anticipating them getting like any kind of struggle out of either USC or Oregon in their next matchup. I'm kind of really just waiting to see them go up against Michigan. A 1 versus a 1 to see like. That's where like their bones are really going to be made, or where they're really going to be tested this tournament.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga is going to make the final. I think it's going to be Gonzaga versus whoever can get out.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty safe bet. Who do you guys have out of like Oregon State and Houston?
I don't know.
Probably Houston. I'm leaning towards them on that one for sure. That. Oregon State did do pretty good against Oklahoma State and Tennessee. So I'd still lean Houston, the higher seed team, on that one. But one thing that I am noticing now, so I guess it is a final for the USC Kansas. USC just clapped Kansas. Hold on a second. Anyway, I'm trying to see who Gonzaga is going to be playing next because it's not.
It's either USC or Oregon.
USC or Oregon.
USC is a 6th seed, Oregon's a 7th seed.
They're both Pac-12 teams. Wow.
Yep. Pac-12 versus Pac-12, brother versus brother.
A lot of
today at 9:45 p.m. Can't wait. For the listener at home who's like wondering when we're recording, we are currently in the second half of the UCLA and Alabama game. I believe UCLA is winning, so that's a bit of a no, I wouldn't say upset because the UCLA is the 11th seed and Alabama is the 2nd seed. But I think a lot more people were banking on Alabama. Better. But game's not over. We'll see.
They're about to be playing, I guess, Michigan. Well, I think personally, I would love to see the Zags and Baylor just because those seems to be the two best teams. But as we've seen in this tournament, who the hell knows? But
I'm predicting for the Final Four, Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, and I'll say Oregon State just because I feel like Oregon State has been just a little bit more impressive during this tournament. And then from there, I'd say, I guess Gonzaga and Baylor in the final. And I hate to say this, but I feel like Gonzaga takes it just because they've been, on a roll this season. It's meant to be, if you will.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Personally, I mean, I think it's going to be definitely Zags and Baylor will both be in the Final Four, along with is Michigan going to get there? I mean, Michigan would probably be playing UCLA. I mean, I would definitely say Michigan is going to be there as well. And then give me Houston. And then I think Houston will upset, unfortunately, Baylor. And then the Zags will destroy Michigan. And then I'm going to take Houston as a champion.
Dang.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be Gonzaga. It's hard to say the other side, but I'll just go Gonzaga. Gonzaga Baylor, but Gonzaga's going to win.
Seems like it would be a good ass game.
Lock it in, folks. If you think differently, comment on our Instagram and our Twitter.
And leave a comment in the YouTube
live
like
and
stream.
Subscribe.
So, speaking of basketball, NBA. So, trade deadline has come and gone. There's been some key injuries to some favorites in the NBA. We'll kind of start with just the Nets. Brooklyn Nets, that is. They have made quite the transformation over the last, I think, year and a half, 2 years. Ever since getting KD, Kyrie Irving. And then they ended up getting James Harden. And then they got Blake Griffin, which I think he's kind of mediocre, but they got him. And then, of course, they just got LaMarcus Aldridge. So, what do we think? Are they a super team now? Do they deserve to be in the pantheon of super teams, which all started with the Miami Heat? Actually, you could actually go back before then. The Boston Celtics, I think, truly started it in 2008 with KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. Then there was the Miami Heat, obviously, with LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. You can debate if the Warriors were a super team because...
I would say just because they had KD and Curry.
I guess I guess it depends on what your definition of a super team is. Like, for me, I guess a super team is just based on like the talent you have on the whole roster. I guess the other definition would be is how did you get that talent? Like, for example, on the Warriors, they drafted Thompson, Curry, Draymond Green, and they just signed KD. A lot of these others, with the Nets, Heat, and then, the Celtics and other teams have tried too, is they're just signing players. And this is one of the biggest examples where it's like the Nets are just, they're trading, they're signing players. Do we think they're going to take it all the way? I mean,
that's a good question. I feel like one of the definitions of, part of a definition of a super team is that you have three of like the best
3 all-stars.
Top 15 players. Yeah. 3 all-stars, basically. And also, like, another thing that, maybe is unsaid when it comes to discussing the major super teams that we, just mentioned is that you kind of have to win a ring if you're going to have a super team and it's going to be something legitimate. Because the Brooklyn Nets have kind of been here before when they got, like, Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and
Joe Johnson.
Yeah, Joe Johnson. And, you didn't mention them, and that's for good reason because who would remember them? They didn't do anything. They did stuff, but I don't remember them for winning a ring because they did,
Yeah, I think the Nets are a super team.
Yes.
I think as soon as I think even before, like currently. Like they had Kyrie and KD. I mean, that was already pretty good start.
Yeah.
And then they get Harden. I think that is a super team.
That
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't think they needed all the other pieces. I think they might to win a championship, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say how it's going to turn out. I feel like there's a couple factors. Steve Nash, coach.
Yeah.
Never coached in the NBA. What's that going to be like when it comes to
Playoff time.
playoffs? Yeah. And granted, Steve Nash has been in the playoffs. He knows how that's like.
Yeah, of course.
But
He
he's
has
never
experience
been
with that. Not,
And then can they – what is it going to be like when they face adversity, just because we know some of their past, like Kyrie and Harden. I mean, freaking Harden and KD already played together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're definitely all on the same page. Like, honestly, I really believe that. I feel like if you're going to be on a team, like, you signed up for this. Like, do you want to
You have to. Yeah.
win a ring or not? As far as Steve Nash goes, yeah, that's to me the most compelling piece of this because, like, we have the standings here pulled up on the stream. But, the Nets are sitting at the number 2 seed. They're very likely close to get a number 1 seed in the East. The East is very wide open. I mean, the Knicks, for crying out loud, are a 4 seed. So I think the East is incredibly wide open. It's between the first 3 seeds, which is the Sixers, the Nets, and the Bucks. I don't see anyone else in the East. I mean, the Celtics could upset someone. They're down at 7. The Heat, since they made a move.
I mean, they made the finals. Like
they made the finals, and then they got what's his name, Oladipo. So
I thought you were gonna say clapped.
They did get clapped, that's for sure. But interestingly, in the West, the other, I don't know if you would call the Lakers a super team, but they do have 2 gigantic pieces. You still have the Clippers, who are another quote-unquote super team, but they are not at the top of the West. We have the Jazz of Utah and the Phoenix Suns. Like, nobody. I think everyone thought the Jazz was going to be good. The Suns, they added Chris Paul, and look what that has done. Lakers are now.
But Booker before.
What's that?
That Booker before.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Wasn't he like the all-star of last year's bubble?
Yeah, the MVP.
At
Yeah,
least
like
he was in my opinion, but
he scored 70 points before. I mean, like, he is a fantastic player. So they're making moves. The Lakers, they're sitting at 4, and LeBron and AD are going to be injured for a little while. So there's a good chance that the Lakers, and I don't know if this matters to them or not. I still consider them one of the favorites in the West.
Of course.
If everyone is healthy, then yeah, the Lakers are going to be good. But honestly, the 2 teams that I think are like chomping at the bit and getting over the hump, if you will, are the Jazz and the Nuggets. The Nuggets, having just made the move for Aaron Gordon, I think makes them a legit threat. Like, I think they have a fantastic. I've always liked their team, with Murray, Jokic, Porter Jr. Now we got Aaron Gordon. I think they're gonna be in the mix as well. I'm just curious to see what the Lakers situation is, and then of course you have the Clippers as well. So West is like, just looking at the West after talking about the East, I'm just like, it's always been a bloodbath in the West.
Yeah. And it will continue to be.
Yeah.
Until further notice. Yeah, I mean, I think the Nuggets are good. They were before they got Aaron Gordon and Jokic, and now they have both.
Yeah. I mean, then of course you got the Blazers sitting there at 6. They're going to always be around. So it's just like a lot of the usual suspects in the West. A couple of new players, I guess you could say, the Suns, and then the Mavs are... Mavs are sitting there at 8, and I don't think I don't know, man. I really don't know
You
if.
don't think they're gonna make the playoffs? Is that what you were gonna say?
No. I definitely think they can make the playoffs. I just don't know if if we're gonna do any better than last year is my concern. Which,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's our team is largely the same. As much as we did make that area of focus for defense this year, trading away, which I don't know if I agree with this in retrospect, Seth Curry, who
Well, they kind of replaced him with Reddick,
JJ Redick, yeah.
Yep.
but he's hurt. So.
And his podcast.
And yeah, shout out to Redick. I mean, he was one of the very first athlete podcast guys to have their own podcast. He was very early on that bandwagon. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people are frustrated with the Mavs right now.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, though, like here's the way I see it is like, look, it is Luka. Sometimes it's KP, sometimes it's Hardaway. Like and that's it. And everyone else you can't count on. Luka is probably obviously going to be your most consistent player. But if it's a night where he's off or not playing, getting rested, I don't think we can rely on KP. He's doing pretty good, but I think he's a good piece to the team. I just think they need one more piece. There's just no way we're gonna.
Dallas needs a super team.
That would be awesome. I mean, it would be great, I guess, to a certain extent, because Luka is now like very known throughout the league and very respected as one of the faces of the league. So it'd be great if we could attract some players, maybe. But it's like I feel like we've been saying that every year as a Mavs fan. Dirk certainly wasn't as marketable, nor did he want to be marketable. All he cared about was playing basketball. Luka is definitely taking a different route, where he's like, he's signed with Jordan. He is now one of the faces of the league, legitimately. And other players are going to want to... I just don't know the Mavs' ability to get those other players. I don't know what that looks like. Like, in my head, I'm thinking, Bradley Beal, sign me up. That, I think, would be the perfect third option. And I think then we get there. The team as it stands right now, I don't see it going anywhere past, the 5 or 6 seed.
And especially in the West. In the East, they'd probably be able to
get
like a 3 seed.
So, shifting gears real quick. The NFL. So, the NFL has a draft coming up. And I love the NFL draft because it is pretty important in terms of shaping the roster. You have 7 rounds. You have... it is the foundation of the NFL. I think more than any other sport. I know it is a spectacle and it can be kind of pointless in some regard, but there were some trades last week, actually, and I'm curious what you guys think at the top of the draft order, what these teams are going to do and who you would take. We have a pretty quarterback-rich draft. A little more so this year than others. We had Miami trade out of the first round, or of the top, 10, and they traded back in with the Eagles. So they're at number 6 now. We had the 49ers move up to number 3. So assuming, and we have the draft order here on the screen, we're all pretty much bought in that the Jags are going to take Trevor, right? That's no-brainer, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't see anything else happening unless some crazy trade goes down, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to see like a bunch of sports heads say like, well, maybe Justin Fields or maybe Zach Wilson, but that's just clickbait. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence all the way.
Urban wouldn't have gone there, I think, if he wasn't getting Trevor. Urban's another story. But we'll see how long that lasts, by the way. Um,
For real.
the Jets, Jets. Um, this has become kind of an interesting thing because they just drafted Sam Darnold a couple of years ago. I don't know if it was in the top 5. I think this is a very talented quarterback class. So, do you think they should take Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or Trey Lance? I mean, they're leaning. It seems like they're leaning towards the BYU kid.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach Wilson is probably going to be the guy. I do think it is kind of weird, just considering, like you said, they have Sam Darnold, who, by all accounts, doesn't seem terrible. He doesn't seem
serviceable for sure, and maybe it's just because he was on the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the Gardner Minshew type deal. You know what I'm saying? Like he proved that he could play.
Yeah.
In his first season with a pretty bad team.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that they moved on from him so quickly, but it seems like he got injured, and then they were kind of like, "All right, we're gonna get we're gonna get Trevor Lawrence," So I think Minshew could be a guy that gets traded or signed somewhere else. He does pretty well. Like he's a guy that would end up on the Patriots and win a Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that'd be interesting. I mean, I don't know if he would be I don't know. Dalton apparently is going to be the starter in Chicago.
I think that's just because nobody wants to play in Chicago.
I mean, it's crazy to think about that. I mean, but so
here's my hot take: who would? Oh, I don't like their logo. I don't like their aesthetics. So just do not sign me up.
Do we think the 49ers, they're clearly done with Garoppolo. They would probably be taking Fields or Lance at that point. Then do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I see them taking Trey Lance.
Another North Dakota State guy. Crazy.
I just don't know about Justin Fields.
You don't think so? I don't know, man.
I don't know if he's going to be able to do it in the second level like he has been able to in NCAA. I mean, obviously, could be wrong. I'm not saying that he's not good. He's definitely a good. I just don't see. I don't know if the arm is there like it is for the other guys.
Yeah. I mean, Zach Wilson, I mean, he obviously had a pretty awesome pro day, but everyone's seeing the clip of him, doing that crazy ass. Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously, I feel like, but that was a pretty nice play. And then what was interesting, another a Jets player, forgot his name. I think he was one of the receivers. He retweeted a clip of Sam Darnold doing like a similar throw in a game, and he was like, "Yeah, I still like Sam." And so there's some players on the Jets that still have Sam Darnold's back, but I don't know if it's gonna matter, because it looks like Zach is next. For the Cowboys, we're obviously here in Texas, so we're Texas-based, so we're going to at least touch on them. They're at number 10. Everyone is screaming defense, and I feel like that's the way to go. We have made the Cowboys have made some good signings in the free agency. They got Keanu Neal for their free safety position, who's going to be under Dan Quinn now as a new defensive coordinator. Got to imagine they're going to pick a defensive player. I think for me, looking at the top 10, we got Jaguars quarterback, Jets probably quarterback, 49ers probably quarterback, Falcons probably not, maybe not, but it's possible because Matt Ryan is going to be gone next year because he's due like $50 million or something because of his contract. You have the Bengals, who are probably going to pick a receiver or offensive lineman. Dolphins will probably pick, either the tight end or Kobe Pitts, I think, or what's his name? Kyle Pitts.
Florida.
Kyle Pitts. Yeah. And then you have the Lions, which could be anything. What I'm trying to say is, once you get down to the Cowboys, feel like they could probably nab the best safety and get Surtain or Surtain.
Yeah. I think it's either going to be Patrick Surtain or there's an offensive lineman.
Oh yeah, lineman.
I forget
Well,
what his name is.
Some people are saying like Caleb Farley, but I really think Patrick Surtain is the better of
He
the
would
two
be. That
because
would be
he's got
great.
more experience and stuff.
Another
Yeah.
Alabama guy to couple with
Under the
Diggs.
lights, if you will.
Yeah, I think
mean-
Surtain's better buy. Again, I don't. I think if they address O line or that, it's probably a good fit. But O line sometimes is finicky with picks.
Yeah, I think they need to start preparing for getting this O line restocked in terms of they had the best offensive line for a long time, but they're not. They're getting older. They're getting injured. We can't have another year where Dak is running for his life. They just made a really big investment in Dak. So,
Yep.
To your point, would not be surprised at all if they go offensive lineman. Personally, I think if Surtain's there, I take him and just reinforce the defense. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't mind the Dan Quinn hire. Obviously, he will get a lot of scrutiny for the debacle that was the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and other epic meltdowns. I think there were others that were almost just as bad, but obviously wasn't in the Super Bowl. He's one of those coaches I feel like, maybe he needs to be a coordinator, and that's what he's best at. So, defensive player for sure. In my opinion, I'll be watching. I mean, it isn't till a month away. People who are listening, it'll be on April 29th. So just wanted to touch on that. One other thing, last thing with NFL, they're adding a 17th game. I don't know what significance this has other than there's going to be 17 games, and this is the first time since 1978. That they are changing the schedule. So I don't know.
Obviously, TV contract.
Yeah,
Stuff, TV contract money is
and
essentially what it boils down to.
that just got renewed recently. For those who don't know, the NFL just renewed an insanely lucrative television deal with all the networks. So that's going to change the salary cap going forward. I mean, obviously, people love football. This is the most watched thing in the nation, and it's spreading to other countries too. So, no surprise that they added another game. I would have hoped that maybe they delete a preseason game. I don't know if that was in the works, but So that's happening. I'm not sure what to think of it other than like you said, just money and I guess more games, which I'm cool with. I love football.
Yeah. I mean, I like it too. I just don't know how it's going to affect the players
Right.
union, and all that. I was really surprised when that thing passed that first time when the union had that vote to extend the season, and somehow it happened.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you talk about players with injuries and concussions and things like that. New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara, among players that are displeased with the 17-game schedule. We have this pulled up on the live stream right now, but I'm pulling it up. So I guess Kamara wasn't happy. He said, S-word, dumb as hell.
I don't blame the disgruntled players because it's another game.
Yeah.
It's more wear and tear on their body. Takes more off of their career because, it's not just one game. It's one game over a series of years. And, one additional game is going to add up. It's going to, take more time away from their bodies to play the sport.
And everybody was already mad about Thursday night game, and then Sunday playing a game, And the biggest one was
it's pretty wild that they were able to get that done. I'm not sure how
think
they
it
did it.
was-
What kind of machinations went into it?
I think it was just money. I have some tweets pulled up on the stream, but basically, let me pull it up here. Oops, dang it. 1 second. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so like there is a lot of pretty much like discontent, I guess, with other NFL players. Like one of them saying, Torrey Smith, he goes, 17 games is great for money, but they are going to have to adjust practices and what a regular off-season looks like. Dudes were already falling apart playing 16. As a whole, this is great, but adjustments have to be made. And then someone said, what's up, brother? There will be automatic changes to the off-season, blah, blah, blah. So, and then we have everyone else just saying, not a lot of players are saying it, but some are definitely upset. One just saying, we really let this happen type thing. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to money. I mean, right? I mean, it's more money for the league and then more money for the players, so...
Yeah, I mean, it's not a mystery how it came about.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like
There
pretty
it
interesting, how
Yep.
this whole
So I'm
thing
gonna
settled here.
probably take this for just a second because I'm
Oh, yeah,
assuming
go
we're
for
probably gonna hit the last aesthetics thing here.
Okay, so
The U.S. men's team will not be making it to the World Cup.
oh,
They lost today to Honduras, and they're not going to be able to qualify.
Wait, is that official?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm pulling up Twitter.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Tough
have
to
this-
swallow tonight. Proud of the guys. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the U23 or under 23, is
Oh, for the Olympics.
for the Olympics. Yeah.
Okay, not the World Cup. Okay.
Not the World Cup, excuse me, Olympics.
Whew.
Yeah.
Okay,
Still.
that made me feel a little bit better.
I thought we were like a little bit out.
Still, I mean, you would think
No,
that
yeah,
the-
that's...
would
they-
make the Olympics.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing all the tweets. Wow, yeah. Well, they still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
I think
Let's just say that.
I think that's making the next World Cup is paramount.
Paramount. They can't lose out on another one.
Sure, we'll get an Alexi Lawless video clip in the morning of him going off on
Oh my God! On the
Even
State of the
23.
Union podcast.
on the pay-to-play system here in the U.S.
He'll roast them in song.
Yeah.
Right. We are gonna wrap up with the aesthetics. We're gonna start with the FC Dallas kit that just got released a few weeks ago. It has. I'm gonna pull it up here. It is a baby blue, powder blue. It has kind of a lot of those elements. The Texas Rangers came out with a powder blue kit, and it seems to look pretty good. Do you guys have any thoughts? What were your initial thoughts on the new FCD kit?
I am really glad that they don't have Advocare as a sponsor anymore.
That is probably
That
the
is
biggest.
my favorite aesthetic part of this
Yep.
new kit.
Pulling it up right now.
I mean, I like it. I think it's good. I think it looks good. It's definitely like the throwback or vintage Rangers powder blues. So
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
So, for those obviously just listening, FC Dallas had Advocare plastered on the front of their jerseys, home and away. That was going on for at least a decade, it feels like. And Advocare, as some may come to know, is, one of those, what do you call them? Pyramid
Has
scheme?
recently been in the news for some less than ideal business
Yeah.
strategies and
They're like
Yeah.
structures.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Some will have
Yeah,
referred
yeah.
to them as an MLM,
Yeah.
multi-level marketing scheme.
That sounds about right.
Not us, because
No.
we do not want to get sued, and we do are
No.
simply
no,
commenting
no.
on what other people have said.
Other-
So,
No, let's just say they have some unfavorable opinions about them. And they recently changed it to MTX, which is a company that is good at, I guess, local company. Whenever they changed it to MTX, I kind of had a feeling it wasn't gonna be the Toyotas, the big brands that some were kind of hoping to get on there. I don't. Southwest, right? Toyota, all these, any other local thing that might be based here or whatever. I don't see a big brand taking the MLS route for advertising and rights and things like that for the jersey. For FC Dallas especially, we don't have a huge following, so it doesn't make sense that a big brand would want that advertising on there. So I think it makes sense for MTX. It looks great. The kit, as you can see here, if you're watching the stream, it's baby blue. We got navy letters, some red trim here and there, but it looks good. I'm excited to see what comes out of it. I am a kit nerd. I think a lot of you who are listening
Kitaholic.
Yeah.
That's what's fueling this podcast, the aesthetics.
It is. And I am pulling up one of our tweets. This will be my review segment. So I buy kits all the time. I usually buy kits. And what I mean by kit, because people get it misconstrued. The word kit in its traditional definition for soccer is the full ensemble. So meaning
the jersey, the shorts,
yep,
the socks, the
everything.
shoes.
So it's not necessarily a kit. I will acknowledge that right away. It is just a jersey. But this jersey came up, and this came from Air Jordan and PSG. I'm not a huge PSG fan. I will tell you that. I'm okay with them. They're obviously playing my favorite team, which is Bayern Munich in the Champions League. So I'm definitely going to be rooting for Bayern in that matchup. But I have a good respect for PSG only because they have an awesome collaboration with Air Jordan. And they've come out with a couple of kits that I actually do have myself because they look so cool, and I will show them to you here. Let me pull up the Zoom. All right. So,
for those of you that are just listening, I
first
suggest
one,
that you switch to the YouTube. The YouTube, this will be worth it. Get us some views on YouTube.
The first one, this is their infrared kit. This was basically inspired by the Air Jordan infrared 6s, which I actually have some shoes that would match with this perfectly, but I won't bring them on here. This is this was their first one that used an Air Jordan color from their shoes on their jersey. I actually got this on sale last summer, and it's really bright, it's just really bright red, and I liked it.
Garish.
Yeah. The next one. So this one is probably the most aesthetic jersey I've ever bought. 1 second. Ugh. Shit. Okay. So, this one, when I saw it release on social media, it's their latest Air Jordan kit, I couldn't help myself. And that is usually the case with any kit reveals. But this is it. It is out there.
For those of you listening with just audio, Andy is showing his what looks to be tie-dye kit. It's quite an assault on the eyes. Yes. Terrible aesthetics. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'll leave it to the viewer to make their own.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I liked it because of just a lot of the bright colors. I feel like this would be something possibly good to wear in the summer. It is using Nike's new Vapor, I guess, material. So it's really interesting. I usually get Adidas jerseys, and so this is the authentic one. So it's a really interesting material. You can't really see it, but it's got like some pattern in the background. I got the Mbappe jersey on the back. So I'll be honest with you, I tried it on. I don't know if I can rock this or not. I will ultimately because it did cost a good amount of money, but
Well, it's pink and
yeah,
purple.
it's
Or would you
like
say it's two different hues of purple, like a light purple and then a
yeah,
dark purple, darker
it's
purple, not necessarily dark.
yeah, it's definitely a bright pink and definitely a kind of almost bright purple as well. So I don't know.
Maybe a mauve, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if maybe it'd be one of those things you'd wear, obviously, if you were going to a PSG game or some shit. But if not, it would have to be some sort of occasion that would, yeah, I don't know.
I feel like maybe if you were going to like a bar that was showing the game and there were
Yeah.
other people there, so you could blend in. That's definitely like you'd really be putting yourself out there if it was just you out.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like both of them, honestly.
Yeah.
I like the infrared one.
The
I think
infrared,
that one's
the infrared one I like a lot because I have shoes that match it perfectly. But like this one, I'm thinking about the summer, maybe a one-off type thing.
definitely vaporwave for sure.
It is very vaporwave, and that's why I had to share because it does kind of have similar colors to our logo. You can look at it. I'm sure a lot of people saw it online. It took 2 months to get here, so
Wow.
just wanted to show.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it did. A lot of people bought it and wanted it, so I'm gonna
Sounds
keep
like
it.
all my pre-order stuff.
Well,
If
yeah.
you're looking for some, dear listener, they're around US $128.
Yes.
So if you have a promo code, be sure to take advantage of that.
Use
Use
Sportswave.
SportsWave in the.
Don't order from the PSG website. I'll tell you that much because I ordered this from the PSG website and it took 2 months. It may have taken 2 months for everyone else, but
That's actually exactly where I was looking at. It's US 128 and the PSG website. If you put in the promo code SportsWave, they'll actually increase the price of their
but I was actually having to talk with these people because I was like, wait, where's my shipping notification? When is this thing coming? And I was actually like having to talk and email with these people in French back and forth for a while, trying to figure out what was going on. They actually offered me a
Je ne sais
40%.
quoi.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Um,
They gave me a voucher for having to wait so long. Anyway, so if you see a guy in a pink and purple soccer jersey one of these days in Dallas, that's probably going to be me.
That's probably him. So
And I might be the only one who has it. He might be crazy enough to wear that. Okay.
yeah, and if you see him, leave him alone. He does not like to be bothered in public.
No, if you see me, just charge at me like intimidatingly.
I am an IPA.
And an IPA and a Blood Nutty.
Signatures are $5. His Venmo is Andy13.
Andy.
No, I don't know.
It's pretty close. Cool. Well, I think we're good. Anyone else have anything else to share with the world?
Just one more thing. I
Yeah.
feel like we mentioned the men's basketball tournament earlier.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like we might be remiss to not quickly mention the women's basketball tournament.
Yeah.
Baylor's going to take it all the way. I think we're all in agreement
Of
there. UConn's going down. It's going to be an 80-50 blowout in the final.
Oh.
And the Lady Bears will be crowned champions of the world once again.
Hey,
I mean that this game Baylor versus UConn tomorrow definitely could be for the title. So probably gonna tune in. UConn's on another level, so not sure how this is gonna work out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see.
it's gonna be tough.
But
Yeah, but in all seriousness, I mean, another thing about it that we were talking about actually before we went on air is the weightlifting issue, or not the weightlifting, the weight room issue.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty messed up. That's pretty much the extent of our comments. And also, they shouldn't do that.
well yeah, more shady stuff for the NCAA. What else is new? Well, cool. Thanks everyone for listening. If you were watching on YouTube, we really appreciate it. Looks like a couple people were able to. Whoever you are, thank you. And
Whoever you are, you saw his jerseys.
you saw everything. You saw everything on YouTube, and that's what makes the YouTube part of this.
You saw me throwing up gang
episode.
signs.
That,
You saw Abden's
yeah,
hat, his mirror.
amazing hat.
Pretty good stuff. You got it all. You got the sports wave experience.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining. Make sure you stay woke and get vaccinated.
Facts.
As soon as possible so we can get back to normal. Still wear a mask.
Yes, you can still pass it on to people for a short period of time after you get vaccinated. As far as my surface level reading of New York Times articles have gone.
Turn
So
the
yeah,
corner.
just keep respecting the mask mandate wherever appropriate.
Yeah.
And yeah, wash your hands.
About to do that right now. All right.
Keep rocking in the free world.
Keep it lit.